It's Talk Point again on Lagos Television, and we're very happy that you can link up with us. My name is Omololu Rosanwo. Today on Talk Point, we'll be looking at the state of the nation. So many issues have happened in Nigeria and it's still happening in Nigeria. So we'll be looking at some of those issues. We'll be looking at the issue of the rift between petroleum truck drivers and also the Dangote refinery, and how it's affecting the whole economic process. We'll be looking at that. If time permits us, we'll also look at the National Association of Resident Doctors. Some have called their strike off, but those in Abuja are yet to call their strike off. I have a guest in the studio that will be doing that with me. I have Taiwo Olapade. He's also a media practitioner. Taiwo, nice to have you on Talk Point.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, we're the fourth estate of the realm. We see things that happen around the society, in the system. Specifically, let's look at what is happening in the petroleum sector this time around. There seems to be some rift between the Dangote refinery and also some truck drivers and Nupeng and a whole lot of the affiliates. What is the issue and what is the position for now?
Well, thank you very much. The bottom line is, whatever the differences or the issues between the truck drivers and Dangote refinery, we must be very conscious and be very careful that it doesn't affect the economy of the nation. Because whether we like it or not, this economy, we can still say is still a bit fragile. So anything that can affect it negatively, we should try collectively to avoid it. The current administration is doing everything possible to catalyze the economy, to bring back the economy to shape. So I'm saying emphatically that we must all collectively, because whether we like it or not, we are all in it together. As Nigerian, as a stakeholder, which we all, as the fourth estate of the realm, as media, we all part of the system. So, but for the question that you asked, I think they must also try to find an amicable resolution to this matter. Whether we like it or not, Dangote as a person is an investor, someone who has invested, about $20 billion, so to say, to construct a refinery from the scratch. This is what government over the years cannot do. And it sounds somehow, it sounds somehow in the ears that government, we have had government since the return of democratic rule in 1999. We have done 26 years now of unbroken democratic practice. And now we have been battling with 4 ailing refineries. And somebody within the space of 10 years single-handedly constructed a refinery from the scratch. So definitely, what do you expect? He who pays the piper, we want to dictate the tune. So this man is an investor who has invested so much of money. So definitely, he will want to do everything possible to protect that investment so that he can quickly get returns from such investment. Because we also know that he didn't just finance that refinery on its own. Money borrowed from here and there, other stakeholders and the like. So the beauty of investing in a project is for you to see return on that investment. But we must balance the equation. We must watch it. We know there are tendencies for somebody of that caliber to want to be capitalistic in nature. We know the ideology of capitalism or the capitalist. They care all alone about the investment and how they could make money from that investment, not minding whether we are paying through our nose or the fuel is high or the fuel is low. We must be very careful of that. However, please just let me land.
Yeah.
Dangote is also doing something that we know in the past that within the twinkling of an eye, any little crisis between government and maybe those in the oil sector, they quickly want to say we want to go on strike. So Dangote is trying to also prevent the situation whereby we will have issues with the supply chains of fuel consumption in the country, and that's why it came with this idea of importing about 4,000 CNG buses, which we heard trucks, that trucks rather, CNG trucks, which we heard that about, I think about 1,000 are now in the country. So, just like I said, that's the ideology and the mentality of those who are capitalist in nature, who are also an investor in a sector which is also, it's just like the life wire of the nation. It's very critical to the sustenance of the country, the oil sector. So that is the reason why government must watch carefully in ensuring that we maintain the balance between Dangote refinery and the other side, whether you call it Nupeng, the Dapman, and all of that, the Petron, and all of that major stakeholders in our nation's all industry.
Yes, Taiwo, I recall that in the past years, let's backtrack now to 2022, 2021, 2020 and back years. We used to have issues with us having to queue at the filling station, buying fuel at black market rates and stuff like that. And over the years, we know that it was a soft landing that the state government, Lagos state government, gave to Dangote over the years to say, look, come to Lagos, come and build a refinery. Now we have a refinery in Lagos. It is operational. So, of course, the investor would also want to make his own money and also help the economy. But the situation we're finding now is between unionization and also wanting to be innovative in ensuring that the products get to the masses. No, if we look at some of these things, how do we explain it? Because from the layman's angle, I want fuel. I want to get it, and I want it at the snap of my finger or when I get to any filling station. Now, if issues happen, we may not be able to get it.
Well, we thank God for one thing, and that's why we all also must collectively protect Dangote refinery. I'm not speaking for him. I don't know him from Adam, but I'm speaking on the facts, before all of us. I said it earlier. This is something that, like a mirage to government. Government cannot, something that government find it difficult to do, despite the wherewithal, despite the economic power. I'm not talking about this present government, but I'm talking about successive government in our country. They couldn't even fix refinery. For how many years that those refineries has been more?
Those refineries are yet to be fixed as we speak with you. Monies are put in the system.
In turnaround maintenance, that can even build another refinery.
Yes,
but somebody took it upon himself. That's why I said we must also collectively, jealously, religiously, protect, or judiciously rather, protect that investment. Because whether we like it or not, is an investment that also created a lot of value chains in that sector. You know how many people have been gainfully employed, the engineers, the technicians. It has also created jobs for Nigerians. So those are the areas we must also look at it from. And again, we must also strike the balance, because the tendency of somebody also monopolizing the nation's wherewithal, the nation's major economic, we must also be very careful about it, because that's the tendency of a capitalist ideology, the capitalism. Those in that ideology doesn't care about you and I. All they care about is how they recoup investment, returns on their investment.
Okay, if you're saying that, let me ask you this. We see presidents over the years, Nigerian presidents and other presidents going around the globe trying to seek investors to come, wooing them to come into the country. And when you're talking of investors coming into the country, you want to say, we have a business environment that is conducive. Now, if these things happen like that, would it encourage more people to want to come? If it's about unionization, I know welfare is very key to whatever we're doing. Don't you think they should strike a balance? Because looking at what the DSS has done, calling for that meeting, looking at what other state players have done.
The same way I've just said it, I think you just try to also, say it in another way around. DSS intervened in the first instance, and they summoned a meeting attended by major stakeholders, and that was the reason why Nupeng called up that strike. And what we heard from that meeting was that there was an agreement that to a large extent, the truck drivers at the Dangote refinery will be allowed to also join the union. But we have also looked at the constitution as regards joining the union. You are not meant to force somebody to join union. That's what we read in this. They are in the constitution. People should be allowed freely. It's part of their fundamental human right. You can't force me to join a union, but it should come at my own free will. We know the essence of joining a union is to find for a common ground, for a common welfare of members. Fine, which is good. But we have seen over time that most of the private investors or investment, the corporate world, they are very cautious of people because they feel like they will only make a demand for a better welfare, salary increment, not knowing that even in the long run, if your employees, your workers are well paid, it will tell on their productivity in the long run. Yeah. It will also tell on what you're also raking as revenue from that business. But I wonder what kind of mentality the corporate world and those in the private sector, the kind of mentality they have sometimes. Maybe it's so shallow, it's so narrow-minded that they don't want people.
Money, profit,
they don't want. Profit. They only think about when I allow my workers to join union, they will start making demands for salary, which is, if it's justifiable, it's normal. Somebody can be on a salary scale of for 3 or 4 years, more than 3 or 4 years or thereabout, and that's why we have this. The minimum wage is a national law that at every 3 or 4 years there must be government and the major union must come together at a round table and discuss, particularly based on the reality of the social based on the socioeconomic reality of that time. And that's why I also support the union, the NLC, making demand now that even the 70,000 minimum wage signed into law about a year ago by the president has been eroded by inflation and by the current economic reality that is no longer sustainable. They must increase the salary of workers because workers are the engine room of the economy. Without workers, can government make money? Whether at the local government, at the state government, and even at the national level, they can't make money. It is these same civil servants that work for the money that the governors sit back to enjoy, that the president sit back to enjoy. So why are you denying them their rights? I strongly support the NLC that it is, unfortunately, even the 70,000 naira signed into law by Mr. President, how many of the state of the federation have implemented it? It's over a year now.
Some have done over 70,
and
they
are even getting about 3 times the allocation they were getting under the former president Muhammadu Buhari. So we should ask our governors. That's what I also say to some Nigerians sometimes, that we focus more on the federal government. We should ask our governors more, our local government chairmen more, because they are getting 3-4 times of the money they were getting before, but we are not asking them questions about how they are spending the money.
So, yeah, I think the president also made reference to it sometime that ask your governors. Monies are now available for projects.
Yes.
Now, even at that, don't you think the president too should have put up a mechanism that will check?
Well, you know, governors,
if they're spending those monies in the right direction.
Governors are also very powerful in their own right, and any president that also want to succeed, but particularly the one that believes that I should be able to serve 2 terms mandatory in our constitution, that's 8 years. Whether you like it or not, you must also judge with the governors, because the governors, they are also like a thin god or a mini god in their own right. And that's why the president, whether President Tinubu, whether former President Jonathan, Obasanjo, Buhari, they must also give it to the governors. You can't call their bluff, whether you like it or not, because they're also very powerful. They also control their states. So that's why you must also find an amicable ground to ensure that they also key into your own ideology and mentality. And that's why, just like you said, I don't know how President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we want to ask Governor Seyi Makinde that the billions of naira you are getting on a monthly basis, can you come and give account? Tell me how you are spending it.
In the federating system.
Yes, or ask, because there's separation of powers. All right, how will the president ask Governor Sanwo-Olu that the billions you are getting on a monthly basis, come and render account? Because we also expect the president, even in his own capacity, to also render account to Nigerians. That's the way it works.
So those things should reflect on the masses. They should reflect on projects.
Exactly.
They should reflect on
and that's
the
the unfortunate thing, because I remember vividly when the president announced that the subsidy is gone. What he said later was that the money accrued from the subsidy removal will be spent on infrastructural development. But alas, what did we see? We saw a development where the president is dishing out this money more to state, more to local government. But sadly, we are not getting infrastructural development that is even commensurate to the money our governors are collecting.
Yeah,
we should ask our governors, we hold them more accountable not
yes.
even the president. The president, unfortunately, he told us that this money, we are not saying that they are not also allocating some of this money to infrastructural development. We are seeing it all around. But more of the chunk of the money are going to our state governors. And we are not seeing this, we are not seeing them in action. How many of them? Even the minimum wage of 70,000 naira. Let's even start from there. How many states, which is even legal? So that means all the states of the federation that have refused to implement minimum wage, they are running government in contrary to the constitution of the country. That's the meaning.
Okay, don't you think that means it's high time we start practicing a system where states will be held liable?
How? Who?
Because
who will, like the media, and that's why we are also very strategic in every democratic experiment. That's why they call the media the fourth estate of the realm. Media must always hold government accountable, whether federal, whether state, which is subnational, or even at the local government level. And even the civil society group. The civil society, the NGOs, and even the ordinary Nigerians. That's why we have the FOI bill. You can also test the popularity of that act to demand for. You can, yes, you can demand. You can use it to demand from Governor Sanwo-Olu that, okay, we heard that for the month of August you got a so amount of money, XYZ. Can you give account on how that money has been expended? We can also test that popularity of that act by asking Governor Abdulrazak of Kwara State or Governor from my own state, Sheyi Makinde, that Engineer Makinde, tell us, give account of how you have expended this money. We as ordinary Nigerians, we have that capacity, but we are not doing that. And that's why I still give it to the media that we also, we are not being found wanting in holding those at the public office accountable. That's our work. Yes. And we must do it collectively.
Yes, let's quickly look at another issue, and that has to do with the strike. One too many that the doctors call. The national,
one strike too many.
One strike too many, yes, by the doctors. Okay. Yes, last week they had a 5-day warning strike. It's been called off now, yes, by the resident doctors. But if you look at it, in Abuja, they are yet to call off the strike, because I say here that they are not being attended to at the FCT hospitals, the general hospitals in FCT. Now, if strikes have been called off, although the national body says the government has promised and they are now paying them what they are expected to pay, should all this is drag too long?
The bottom line is, I see it as a contradiction. If the national body, that's the National Association of Resident Doctors, that's a national body, has called off strike, I wonder why the state chapter or the FCT chapter, I wonder how they also derive their power to now kickstart their own strike, indefinite strike, at a time when the national body, which they're also supposed to derive power from or take instruction from, and just say call up the strike. However, I want to put most of these blames, to the side of the government, because if our government over the years have done the needful as regards proper budgetary allocations to critical sectors, we know that by Section 22 of our Constitution 1999 as amended, the essence of being in government is for protection of lives and property. So what exactly are those in government? What is their responsibility? What is their work? And there are major aspects of our lives that government must not toy with. Number one is health, and they say healthy nation is a wealthy nation. If a nation is not healthy, that means that nation is not wealthy. And by implication, if we have a standard health insurance scheme for our workers, definitely there will be a multiplier effect. Workers will also give in their best. There will be productivity. There will be revenue in the long run. And there are other aspects which is also education. I don't see any reason why any state of the federation cannot do free education. We have seen government who have done this in the past. The government of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo is this same country, Nigeria, Southwest. The government of Alhaji Dakonde did it. We are still mentioning their names. How many years have they gone? Have they left this world?
Yes,
we still make reference to them.
I'm making references because that has also put the Southwest ahead. It's giving them an edge in terms of educational development. But don't you think it's high time the government also look into some of these areas, because we keep having one strike too many, and at the end of the day they agree on something and the government will renege in paying some of those things and the issue tries to go on strike again. Don't you think that should end?
The bottom line is no rocket science. You can't be doing the same thing and expect different results. That has been the bane of our government. They do the same thing and they expect it is not rocket science. And for me, doing governance or giving people the dividend of democracy is also not rocket science. All these developed societies of the world that we all run to for one thing or the other is because they were passionate about developing their country. Nobody from elsewhere will come and develop our country for us. It is we Nigerians that must also think out of the box, change our mindset as regards what exactly do we want. Thankfully, God has endowed us with even more than what we need. We have oil flowing without even requesting for it. But are we using the money from that oil? Are we using it judiciously? You and I know that the answer is no. Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, around 1972 thereabout, was like a dry line. But today, Dubai is like a paradise on earth. And that's where everybody aside US, everybody around the world also want to go to Dubai and see the third wonders of the world. So why can't we also replicate that in our country, in our fatherland, Nigeria? We have the money.
Yes.
We have the resources. We have Nigerians who are also very intelligent, because when Nigerians leave the shore of this country, they go abroad and be performing wonders.
Yes.
So how come that government cannot also capitalize on these both human and natural resources to develop our country and give us the dividends of democracy that we all deserve?
Thank you so much, Taiwo Olakpade. I'm afraid time is no longer on our side. I want to thank you for coming on Top Point on Lagos Television. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm hoping that there will be enough time for us to further discuss some issues which has to do with developing Nigeria, so that they can remain the signal of all eyes in the globe. On that note, we have come to the end of Talk Point. My name remains Omolodu Rusonwo. 767 and 112 are still the lines of this call in times of emergency. Stay out of trouble and ensure that you do what is right to ensure that Lagos and indeed Nigeria gets better. I am Omolodu Rusonwo again, signing out.